Well, hello again, everyone. Happy holidays. This for me is a take two. I hope you had a great Christmas time, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, you name it. I hope you had the best that you might have imagined. And I did, had one with family, went down to Oregon and had some beautiful days there and dealt with a nice deluge here in the Pacific Northwest. Plenty of water, plenty of rain, and some flooding. And I am happy to say that the flooding itself was not a problem for us last year, or coming around a year ago, on New Year's, at the end of New Year's weekend. There was a flood in our home, and it was a reason for us having to move, but that became a blessing because while we lived at eye level to our local river, the Willapa River, as it's called here, we now sit on a place where we can see it from above. So that's not a problem anymore, and so that flood was, you could say, a blessing. We were just thinking earlier today that had we still been at that place, whether it flooded or not, the fact that it could and might, and the conditions were ripe for the possibility. You had to deal with that, and so it's really nice to be free of that. I have a few things. The other thing here, I said this is take two because I actually started this maybe 15 minutes ago or longer than that. But as it turned out, I was recording. I did a record only test because one of the things that I want to do is to I'm going to do a little um, debut of a work that I did in 2012. And I started talking about how I'm looking forward to the coming year. I talked about how you, that might be, a minority point of view in terms of looking forward to next year. But ultimately, it's about looking forward to each day. I look forward to each day because there are things that I am doing, want to do, I'm discovering, and I'm also determining, and to the best of my ability at least, what can I do to help change the situation. Okay. We all have an opinion about what's going on. Generally speaking, people have an opinion about what's happening, or at least they have their own opinion about it. And it's about, I'd say to some extent, it's an opinion about what they see. But the question is, what is it that you want to see? We spend a lot of times in taking exception to what we see happening. Yet we don't spend nearly as much time with some active steps, or taking some active steps to create something different. And in part, it's because we likely don't see ourselves as having an ability to affect it. We don't see ourselves as creators. We see ourselves as, well, I guess whatever we see ourselves. Hey there, Jonathan. So that's kind of like the the task here, the challenge. How can we make a difference in this life, in this world? Yes, and happy holiday to you too. Thank you. Um, I have some ideas on how to change things, but you change them. I'm not going to go out on a corner someplace and start protesting or making signs and marching and stuff like that. Not my thing. Uh, but it's not just not my thing. As I see it, at least, it's not effective. It's not powerful. We've been doing protests for generations, and what have we got? We have simply more of the same. We have more of what's going on. Uh, I'd even say it's worse. Okay, it's more extreme. So it's not a question that we have the ability to change, but do we know how to use those abilities? Because in fact, we're using our abilities right now to keep and to sustain the status quo. Now, I say that not simply in a collective sense. I'm talking, individually. So, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Jonathan. Check it out later, and we'll talk to you when we talk to you. I am going to be talking about some things I think you'll be interested in. So have a great one now. That's kind of cool. I think I like that about the live stream stuff because you actually can uh, interact with people, and I have that's been another thing. I have resisted that. You know, I'm used to getting in front of the camera and shooting the camera, shooting whatever I got to say, coming back, editing it, getting all the stuff I don't want out, etc., enhancing or whatever. That's just a lot of energy, a lot of time, and uh, not like I well, point is, this you just get it going. Okay. I can still do this because I can still download this and do other things. But at this point, I'm I'm enjoying this too. So what I'm going to do is a couple of things. The first thing I want to do and say is how do you change things? And we change it by first, I'm going to say going within. I'm going to say in the sense that when we are protesting, we are looking at something, we are commenting, we are thinking about, we have our opinions about something, but our attention is focused on that. Our displeasure is focused on that. And whoever is promoting it, well, their energy is on that because and it's a positive, okay? Whether the effect is positive or not is immaterial. Their energy is focused on what that is, whatever it is. And then you've got people who are taking exception to it, and their attention is focused on it too. However, they don't like what they see, and they're vocal and they're doing whatever they're doing. But what actually is happening? You've got two factions of people. And it doesn't matter um, well, it does matter the proportions. What matters relative to the proportions is the coherence of the image that the activity. It's the coherence. And so you've got people who are acting positively and coherently to put a particular idea out, and then you've got another group who is taking exception to it. But the exception position, particularly if it is uh, fearful, particularly if it's based on, I want to say, untruths and falsehoods, and people may not even know they're not true, but they're still taking all this activity. This is where consciousness comes in. This is where the subject of consciousness comes in, and this is where it's at play. And so you've got the people who are wanting to do this, and they are coherent and focused in the doing, and they are coordinated, etc. Does this remind you of anything that we've experienced anytime lately? And then you've got another group who are literally just up and out. They're coping, they're worrying, they're doing all kinds of things. But that is a much lower energy. That's a much more diffused and much more diluted energetic position. And so, but because both are focusing on the same thing, they're creating it. They're creating their positions within it. The way that you actually mitigate that is that you spend your time, your effort, your energy, as well as your focus, your intention, your confidence, your um, persistence, your rock steadiness toward you, whatever your vision is. And if it's peace on earth, you work toward that, you give it that. But you do that, and the same coordinated energy that others have been doing, you apply yours to that. The only difference is that yours, let's say, is unseen. A peaceful world, or as I've been talking about recently, relative to the concept of having enough and living in the state of sufficiency. That is something that if you're not living in a state of sufficiency now, then you're not in the consciousness of it. If we are working hard and hard and hard to make ends meet, or and then falling behind on that, we're not in the consciousness of sufficiency. Yeah, in one respect you can say you have an overabundance of stress and all the concerns that are associated with it. But when you spend time putting your efforts, your time into something that you love, that you care about, and you do it harmoniously with enthusiasm, now that's where your energy goes. And then that's where the organization of that effect will happen. And in time, it will actually come to pass. And so that is one of the things I see that I can do, not only for myself, but I want to say these things, I want to share these things to encourage people to consider thinking differently. And the thinking, first of all, begins within. What do you think about yourself? It's not so much of what someone else thinks about you. What do you think about yourself? How do you feel about yourself? And how do you feel about how you are being in these times? So, oh, let's see. I guess I don't need that. I'll keep it that way. So, one thing I want to do is I actually want to show you something. I want to share. I'm going to do a debut of a work that I did. This is some. It's a musical piece, but I'm the instrument, and I also wrote this. And I'm going to share this with you. This is 4 minutes long. I produced this in 2012. So here we're talking 10 years ago. I did this, and maybe put this up on my original YouTube channel. Maybe I didn't, but I'm going to share it. It is titled The Meek's Prayer. So you've heard of the Lord's Prayer. This is the Meek's Prayer, and it is done is rewritten, is recontextualized in such a way, but it's done to the melody of the Lord's Prayer. This is called the Meek's Prayer. So let me bring this up. I'll do this. There you go. The Meek's Prayer. What a concept, huh? Like I said, I did that in 2012, and I did all the parts and did it in a key that was within my range, if you will. And it's, I don't know, I guess you want to say, you could say it's a little radical. It's certainly different. Maybe it's not radical at all. But it, I think one of the parts of that's been invisible in our society, and it's still fairly invisible, is the human, him or herself. The human being in our society and our consciousness is invisible. We look at all the things that are created, all the things that occur, and we see value in those things. We see value in money, we see value in stuff, and we are so connected to the creation of all those things, we ignore the being, we ignore the people. We don't see what the people are doing and we don't acknowledge them. And we, who we are, each, we are the most unacknowledged, as I see it at least. And I see that's part of the problem. People live for years, for decades, for generations being unacknowledged, unappreciated, and unrespected. Okay. And the other part of it is not simply just people not getting it, it's not giving it either. All right. But in our society, that is like become okay. And we got the issue with money. The money thing is, we're seeing money has value, but money has no value. Stuff has no value unless a person, a being, uh, a living being, takes the time and effort to put into the creation of whatever they create and the sharing of whatever they share. And then it's striking a chord within other people to who care enough about what it's doing. And again, what we start seeing though is because so many people are spending time in a place of consciousness where they put out, but they don't receive in kind back to them. Then that becomes, that's what kind of builds up, and it tends to harden an individual's mind, so to speak, because they get so little back from from their efforts. You know, some people say, and that's part of what was in that Meek's prayer, where they say, no good deed goes unpunished. That is simply a way of thinking, okay? And that's an evidence of that hardened frame of mind. I'd say even a hardened heart, okay? You got all um, your walls around the protection up and everything else. And you know something? When you put your protection up and you hold that love in, then you're not sharing it, you're not showing it. You are the first casualty. It affects the person who doesn't give, the person who blocks is the first casualty of their own choice. And we have a society, we have a social structure, a social malaise that is simply being perpetuated by people looking at what's going on out in the world and responding to that, fretting about it, taking exception, etc. And at the same time, there's something inside that wants to get out. There's a gift inside, there's genius inside, there's intelligence, there's some just wonderful things that are inside each one of us, just like a seed. And yet, if we nurture it, if we give it some care, if we allow some expression, if we exercise it, it will start to grow. And first and foremost, it will then become part of who we are and what we are. I mean, it's already there, but the active aspect of it is what is to be had, to be allowed to come out. And so when you've got something that you want to do in your life, when you've got something you want to stand for, you have an idea that's different, you have a way that you feel will improve things, or maybe it's even more mundane in the sense simply that it's about being honest. How many of us go through life, you get to these backs and forth between each other, and someone gets in a huff, and then the other, well, what's wrong? Nothing. You know, you know, we do this oftentimes, and well, that's just who I am. Well, excuse me, that's just how you are acting right now, is what it is. When you see something and a way that's better, that you can behave, that you can show yourself, you can comport yourself, or when you start to actually seek truth, for one thing, and in the seeking and the finding of truth, you start to live by that. You start also noticing how it puts you on a different track, because the decisions that you would make when you have sought to know and internalize what's true, and you get the confirmation from within. It's a decision you make within yourself, within your own being, in terms of what is, say, beneficial or not. You know, true. What's true is not simply about facts. It's not about information. It's also about coherency. It's about structure. It's about um, congruity, in the sense that interconnectedness. When we find that there has been a break in the congruity of an idea, that's a sign that, excuse me, that structure is not going to stand. It doesn't stand. It doesn't hold water. So if you follow the advice of someone, particularly someone whose income and other or status, professional status or whatever, is being dependent on them pushing that particular thought out, that idea, and they're going to benefit materially. Excuse me, there are greater benefits than the material one. And yet it's possible to have material benefits as well as be on that firm, solid ground of truth, of conceptual consciousness truth, where there is coherency, there is integrity, so to speak. So that was the Meek's prayer, and the thing that I wanted to talk about next is along the lines of kind of where I started here in talking about one, wealth. I said, imagining wealth for you and then creating it. And that is something that we want to do. And, but yet, how do you do it? We step outside of our familiar ways of thinking. That's first. And then from there, we start going into a place of, okay, what do we need to do to get to where we want to go? And so for many people, and I began this in the sense of talking about different ways to create an income flow. And the CoopCrowd platform is, in fact, it's the only way that I know that can allow people, no matter who they are, whether they have a large amount of funds or not. In fact, a large amount of funds is not necessary to work within and to succeed within the CoopCrowd ecosystem. It basically requires you to have something else, which is compassion, persistence, um, courage, okay, a willingness to step outside of your comfort zone. Or let's see, it's not a comfort zone. Step beyond your familiar zone, your zone of familiar actions, activities, your familiar circle of people, because in many, many ways, the people that surround you become how you limit yourself, depending on the types of energies, the type of attitudes, the type of ideas that you habituate. And so this becomes another thing. If you're looking to make a change, you change your consciousness. The people who care about you, truly care about you, will note that. And if you got a solid relationship with them, whether they are go with you or not in what you are looking to do, or whether they go with you immediately with what you're looking to do, they may not. It doesn't matter. They may or may not go with you. But if you have an idea in mind, if you have something you want to achieve, then you owe it to yourself to actually do it, because in the beginning you're possibly the only one to see it, because it's inside you. So people say men can't give birth. Well, some people, they used to say that. They're trying to make a case where men can now, which is a specious one, I will say. But what men can give birth to, as all humans can, are to ideas, to what's in their hearts, with what's in their minds. And oftentimes our minds are being fed with, I'll say, garbage and rubbish. And if we are taking that garbage in, that garbage thought, uh, and giving energy to it, then it becomes an impediment too. So, what I want to do is share, because I have come across a couple amazing tools. And so I could have made the title about these AI tools, and I can't say I've been a proponent of artificial intelligence, but there are ways. I don't cut everything off simply because of that. Co-op crowd, for that matter, because of how it's structured, it looks like things that we've seen before, but I was willing to take a look at it and see it for what it is. And gosh, as it turns out, it is so unique in what it can do and what it allows each of us to do for ourselves. When I started did my video maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago now, on the Drip Network, and my experience with the Drip token, the price of a drip token was $7.15. This is like the end of October. And so, and it had gone down, down, down from its high in January. This past January, the drip token price was well over $100 a piece. And so, that was part of my story, as I showed 1 year with drip. Now, since then, it's gone from $7.15 a token to right now it's actually on a rebound. Uh, Yesterday, let me take a look over here. I'll see if I'll pull this up, and just to give you some visual relief. Um, Here it comes, and I'll bring that up, and bring my wallet up. Oh, there's MetaMask, and let's do that. So if we look at the drip token at this moment, oh, it's at 96 cents. It was at 61 cents yesterday, and it's at 96 cents at the moment. That's nice to see. And so, yeah, these numbers are going back up. And you can see when I did my video at the end of October, I had 4,200 drip at the time, I think. And as you can see here, I'm continuing to um, compound. I'm continuing to hydrate. And so I just did a hydration just a little while ago, in fact, earlier today, but it's now producing 83 a day and still, well, that's nice. And if that stream or trend continues, look at there. This is just recent activity. So that's sweet and may it continue. Okay. So that being the case though, when I did that, uh when I did my that video, it was 7.15. Now it's uh, around $1, and it can, in fact, when people start putting funds back into drip, when they have the confidence. I've talked about this in some earlier videos or some recent videos, in the sense that the FTX situation was really intended to be against all of cryptocurrencies. And because of that, it affected everything. It affected people's confidence in cryptos. And it affected, I'll say it adversely affected it also, not to mention the simple fact that I don't know how many customers FTX had. It certainly could have been hundreds of thousands. I don't know if they had a million customers. I don't know. But they apparently had billions in of crypto value in their system. And that was taken down. People talk about this Sam Bankman Fried, I'm going to say dude, as though he was just a nincompoop. And well, that's correct. But he was someone's nincompoop. Everyone, people are pointing the finger at this guy who basically rose to some level of influence. And when you look at him and his compatriot, I'll put it, his cohort uh, at Alameda or whatever that other company was, these people were actually working together, first of all. But what were they doing? They didn't misplace billions. They transferred and sent those billions that are on a blockchain someplace. These are on blockchains, and they basically sent them to other places, first of all. And a lot of those places that they sent those funds to had very strong and very partisan political affiliations. Okay. This is just a fact. And the one thing that I'm going to mention here, because I don't hear anyone saying this even yet, when I you see or the comments on some of the, as they call them, the Bitcoin maximalists, Michael Saylor and Max Kaiser, and etc. In their mind is Bitcoin or nothing, so to speak. I mean, the um, the crypto space, the other than Bitcoin factor of the crypto space, uh, as far as they're concerned, it needs regulation. And you see, at this the the hearings that were done with Sam Bankman-Fried, for as an example, the Congress people, they only listen to a specific point of view. They sequestered Sam Bankman-Fried a day before he was supposed to speak before them. He was arrested, etc. Now that's changed. He's in custody someplace, but he hasn't been uh, in front of any kind of congressional thing. Okay. Instead of him, they had this other fellow, O'Leary, come in, who who received $15 million, and then he whined about having lost 10 of them. Okay. Now he received 15 million from FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. He knows this guy directly, and he is hardly impartial, first of all. So he sits and tries to put and throw Binance under the bus, okay, to affect them. And my thing is this. Yes, he's first of all not biased. I mean, not biased, totally biased, but that's not the point. He's not the only ones. One is you listen to what is being said, but you also listen to what's not being said. The Congress in the last 2 years in particular have rarely agreed on anything that was of actual value to the American people. They were at a point where our group, whoever our group is, we've got control of the house. We don't even have to talk to the other group, okay? The other people on the other side of the aisle. They were in that kind of arrogance, I will say. And so they didn't have to talk about it. However, when it got down to the question or the issue of regulation of the crypto space, oh, they are bipartisan. They are lockstep, rah rah, huzzah, huzzah. And so here they can agree on that. And what does that do? It first of all, they agree that regulation of that space is an imperative, and the FTX, what do I call that? Operation becomes the latest example. And it wasn't just FTX because there were several others that went down too. This has been a progressive intent takedown, but it's to shake customer confidence in the crypto space, is to also, I want to say, soften people up for acceptance of the CBDC, the central bank digital currency that they are rolling out. It's their own AI. And if you can imagine, I was talking to someone about this yesterday. If you can imagine, these smart cars, oh, you don't have to drive them. Okay, they'll drive you. You put your life in in them, and oh, if there's a glitch in the software, oh, but you don't have to be aware of what's going on. You don't have to care. You don't have to look around. You don't those types of things. And yet, if you finance that car, for example, and you decide, well, not decide, circumstances or whatever they are, you can't pay the notes. They can simply uh, you wouldn't be flipping a switch, but certainly put in a software code or something else like that, and you can't unlock your car. You can't start it. You can, you know, maybe they can even set it up so it'll drive you someplace that you don't want to go. I don't know, but that is when you have a centralized authority. The Take that type of situation and apply it to the currency, where they create this currency and they want to know where it is, who is being exchanged with, and they want literally to have a piece of every transaction that you do with anything. I mean, that is the thinking that is behind this entire system. So the crypto space is a shelter from that storm. First of all, that financial storm, it is. And but it can only be strong if there is confidence within it. And so that activity with FTX, etc., and the fact that the Congress people did not seek another point of view. Kevin O'Leary, who took $15 million and whined because he lost 10. Okay, he dropped 10 and he was going to call his friend up and have him explain things. But even before he was called to task on this, he had even said that he would put funds in him. He would back the guy again. That is a level of tolerance that is stupid. Okay. And yet, this is what this guy would say. And however, so instead of hearing, he sits on in front of Congress and tries to put Binance and say they caused the situation, deflecting, deflecting, deflecting. And again, here is why was Congress only hearing from him and from that perspective? Why were they not even hearing from the one that he attempted to implicate? They weren't seeking that point of view. And CZ, in the avenues that he had available to him, the man had the accounting, he had the proof of all the things he had to support. And they didn't want to hear that. That wasn't to be on the record. So you have to start asking yourself, what is actually going on? Because the orchestration of this and the bias is very, very clear. And Mike, I will continue to say, I see people who are even asking and demanding regulation or seeing that this is a an example and a justification for regulation. I mean, that's the intent behind all of this. But the problem with all of that, because one, they're not showing the entire side of this, and therefore there's to me evidence of dis in disingenuousness. I'll say that, and that basically is that who is regulating the regulators? People don't regulate the regulators, and since the regulators are going just whole hog, they're doing Barney Fife on everything and everyone, and they're not being regulated themselves. The attitude that they go after this is being tolerated as though it's justified. It's not. But someone's got to say it. But before you can say it, you got to see it. And when you see it and you take some umbrage to it, then it makes sense to talk about it, to make it clear, make it open to people. So that is one of the things relative to the crypto space, and that affected Drip, but has affected everyone. Drip is a beautiful and I want to say a happy story in an otherwise it's been an abysmal kind of place over the last year or so, and yet that is why I started talking about Co-op Crowd. When Co-op Crowd, I started, first of all, Co-op Crowd is by no, well, you can do things very quickly in Co-op Crowd, but the basis of its development, the basis of support is something totally different. It is not about how much money you have. It's more so about how much heart you have. It's more so about your own vision and uh, what do you see for yourself? What is it that you want to change in your life? Oftentimes, we need to increase our flow of available funds. I've seen so many people uh, and I'll change the screen here just while I'm talking about this. This is a co-op. I have, or the exception, it's not just the only one, but it's the main exception that I have with that is that we are asking others to help supplement what we have because we don't have enough for the moment. And we don't have enough what? Not enough of a lump sum, but enough of a flow of income to handle whatever our situation is. And so with that being the case, the what happens even if they get the funds they want or they're asking for right then, and they still don't have a sufficient flow, then okay, those funds get depleted. The mindset hasn't changed. And the more importantly, we are asking others to give without the idea of giving back to them in kind. That's reciprocity. So unless we are blind to the absence of reciprocity in the majority of our interactions with each other. Now, reciprocity is happening even when we don't see it. But typically, when we're putting out negative, when we're giving energy to negative, then we are getting back what we put out, but it's negative. It is the reciprocity is the law of the universe. It's the way things happen. And so the point, if we want to change this, we need to go inside, first of all, connect with the vision, with the idea, with all of the positive aspects of ourselves too, with the courage, with the ingenuity, with persistence, with patience, with respect. We need to actually take that, put it, dust it off, and start using it to put out and to fuel or motivate us to give to ourselves, because it is an experience that we will give to ourselves. And what you basically do is then you put some funds into Co-op Crowd, and we've talked about the amount. It's either around $100 or about $400. And then with that, you get these tokens that that's what you're buying, so to speak. That's what you are obtaining when you go into Co-op Crowd. You make that, and then you will use those tokens literally to invite three other people. They could be who you know, that could be who you don't know, it could be someone that is well, that you respect, that you know is looking to do the same type of things, or they have their own vision and they need funds as well. They need not just a lump sum, they need a flow. And so if we are to change our situation, I'm talking first of all personally, then I'm also talking collectively. Then one of the fundamental things that we can do is basically create our own flow of income, where it's coming to us, and it's not coming simply in a lump sum, it's coming in waves, it's coming cyclically, and it continues to come, and it comes substantially. And frankly, once I learned about Co-op Crowd, I learned about Co-op Crowd while I was in Drip, and while Drip price was high and everything else, and I was still open to Co-op Crowd in spite of that. And so I looked at it. I could have dismissed it, needless to say, but the more I saw how it worked, I realized it worked on a totally different principle than Drip does. It works differently. It doesn't require the things that Drip will do, that Drip needs in order to keep its value stable. The fact is that what you receive in Co-op Crowd is um, is pegged to stable coins. It's pegged to the U.S. dollar. And so you see, I've got a lot of big in here right now because I have spent I spent time doing a lot more thinking than I have. Well, I've done a lot of talking about it, but in addition to that, part of my talking has been to deal with and having uh, uh, I'd say some thought to be given to the actual issues that we're talking about. This is the co-op wallet, and this is the other thing. You could say that Drip has its own wallet. It has its own DEX in some respect. Well, your MetaMask wallet is a Web3 based wallet, decentralized. Your co-op crowd wallet and the MetaMask is non-custodial. This co-op crowd wallet is custodial, okay? Because this is how you get your funds. I mean, so you have a co-op crowd wallet, but it is also Web3. It is custodial. However, it is unlike any custodial wallet in the sense every all the values are pegged to the U.S. dollar. They're all backed by them. And all value, when it's put in, is moved through the system, through the cooperative. Someone, when you deposit, 10 people are receiving. When you, for your deposit, you are going to receive tokens. And because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be purchasing those tokens. And when you receive those tokens, you are going to, depending on, like if you do this one here, you're going to get uh, 3 co-op 25 tokens, and you're also going to get 1 co-op 250 token. These tokens represent a pool. The co-op 25 pool, if you will, is what all members um, participate in. So when you buy the 3 tokens, you're buying 3 co-op 25 tokens that you are going to use to invite 3 people to do just what you did. And I back up because you're going to be very, very, very circumspect in the sense that a person gets it, they understand it fundamentally, and they also they have their dream, they have their initiative. It could be for $5,000 they need to raise. It can be for 50,000 they need to raise. It could be for 100,000. It could be for 1,000,000. Now, the point basically is that Co-op Crowd will deliver all of those amounts and more conditionally. And everything in life has a condition. So there's nothing new or different about that. The conditions of Co-op Crowd are totally different from, let us say, Drip, in the sense that however much you got kind of depends, or it's a factor. If you don't have a lot in for to put in the Drip, you're not going to get a lot. Or once you get a lot, it's going to take a whole bunch of time to do it. Yes, you can compound, but now that's going to take time. These are simple facts. With Co-op Crowd, you put in either this amount, almost $400, or you put in less than that, $100, or roughly around that amount. So for the 100, you get just the 3 tokens, okay? Co-op 25 tokens. For the 400, you get an additional co-op 250 token. And what those tokens represent are pools, because everyone who purchases a co-op 250 token participates in a pool that provides an additional or a second disbursement. Every time someone activates, someone new joins, someone even indirectly or down the line joins you, or around your circle joins, you are going to be receiving 2 disbursements, one from the co-op 25 um, pool, and a second one from the co-op 250 pool, which is 10 times what you receive from the first one. You get them both. And so if you don't participate in the co-op 250, you don't get that. Yet you still have some substantial accruals. So what Co-op Crowd, the co-op platform, is doing is, one, you have this wallet, which is itself, quite frankly, you could be paying for this wallet for what it does. And so it's Web3. It is it is custodial, but your funds are pointed, and all of the people, the members who join, that are connected to your wallet ID. That's what's happening when you are planting those seeds. you are inviting those people. When they activate, they are connected to your wallet ID. And then when they invite their three, they are connected to the three that they invite are connected to your wallet ID. And yet you are also connected to theirs. So then those three, you've got nine plus the original three, all connected to your wallet ID. Now, every time someone activates, you receive. Every time someone that they invite activates, they receive. Now, when they see that positive reinforcement, action, reaction, so to speak, now the next group of nine, they're sending out their three. That's 27 new ones. And when those 27 people activate, the person that invites them, that'll be their first three, they're getting something. The person that invited them are receiving, and then you are receiving as well. Of course, if you use mine, then I'm receiving too. And this is happening with or without our direct involvement. So at when you have 12 active people, your three, and then the extra nine, when they are all active at once, now two things happen. You're receiving this, whatever that amount is, which is the co-op 250 plus the co-op. You see these dashboards here. You have a co-op 250 dashboard. You see the time. I have a little over 2 weeks. Every 28 days, these accounts recycle. So I've got 6 days on my co-op 25, and then in 6 days, then the system will automatically renew this. Okay, as long as I have a sufficient balance in my wallet. So you want to keep a sufficient balance in your wallet to pay this every 28 days. And because I started with a co-op 25 and not the co-op 250, I added the co-op 250 maybe a month or so after I did it, but it wasn't on the same day, not at the same time. Then they have their 28-day anniversaries on different days. But as long as I have a sufficient amount in my wallet, then this is paid automatically. It doesn't come out of my pocket. And so when you have your three and who are all active, you actually will have received either enough or almost enough to cover yours from there. But when your three have their three, you you certainly have enough that you're not coming out. That's coming out every month. You're getting paid every month. The thing about it is that when you have your three and your three have three, that 12 are active, the co-op crowd system actually opens up an additional pool of income that you now qualify for. See, that pool is being withheld until you have the qualification. So once the three have and your three have your three, and you could think of it in the sense that it's kind of like trying to herd a bunch of kittens, but it's really kind of not like that because, in fact, if the kittens love you, and I got two cats here who we got as kittens. When they love you, they'll follow you anywhere. They will go anywhere for you. It's not difficult. We simply think of it as difficult. And so when we get over the idea, the thinking that these things are difficult, then they will be. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to do, and I'll pull this up, is like I said, I have been finding some other ways. I want to inspire people to think outside of their zone of familiarity, and that can be done. Well, I'm going to do it um, in a number of different ways. I've been coming up with these ideas, but I've been searching, I've been seeking, and I've been wanting to have some images that could help with this process. And so those images have led me to, uh, I'll say discover, but I have come across and I'm now beginning to use something called ChatGPT GPT on one side, and the other is called Mid MidJourney. MidJourney I'm using to create images and some super images, and it's allowing me to do this with the use of words. Now, GPT, oh boy, this is another Chat GPT. I think that Chat AI. There we go. This is Chat GPT. Oh my God. This is something else um, that you need to know about. Well, it's a tool. Okay. It's a super, super tool. And what this allows you to do, this is from the writing standpoint. You can use this system to support, augment, supplement, or complement your writing, any kind of writing communications you need to do. And I'm not going to do a video on this now, but look it up. Chat GPT. There's going to be plenty of videos on this. And in the same regard, not OpenAI, but MidJourney. MidJourney, I'm going to there's my Discord server. And what I've been doing is attempting to come up with some imagery that would allow me to create some images that kind of help convey a feeling. And MidJourney allows you to do this with words, with sentences. You write sentences, and the system, this is the artificial intelligence part of it. This system will actually create the images. And so what you're seeing here is only about 2 or 3 days worth of effort so far. But I have gotten to a place. I created a little, let's see here. Boom, there it is. I'm just going to show you this one. I have been attempting, because it occurred to me that it would be, I think it would be useful and beneficial to create some graphics that will allow me to, in fact, do this idea. I forgot to put my music on, so I just turned it on just now. However, this image I created from a sentence. I wrote a sentence, and oh heck, sorry, didn't even do it that way. types of things are being overlooked. And yet, Co-op Crowd exercises all of those. It requires those things. It requires a little bit of money. You put a little bit of money in and you tell to other people that you care about, and you care about your own vision. You care about your own quality of life. You care about your own flow. But Co-op Crowd is accessible to anyone. When Drip's price went from 7.15 down to $1, well, my first of all, I didn't figure that it was going to go away. There were some people even yesterday suggesting, well, Drip was done now because it was down, 60 cents. And so there's been a turnaround at the moment. However, the dependency as far as Drip is concerned is always there. You can't at this point depend on there being sufficiency. We don't know that for me in May, when I maxed that wallet out, I'm getting 274 Drip a day. Its price, I have no idea. I suspect that it'll be up. And I'm positive. I anticipate that it will be. However, with Co-op Crowd, it's not a concern. It's not an issue. You put a flat rate in, every member puts a flat rate in. You have a flat rate for the basic, and you have the option of having a flat rate for the deluxe, if you will. That's it. And yet you do this other thing. You invite three people who do what you did. That's all you got to do. And you also help those three do the same thing. You get all of them active at the same time. Now it opens up another level of income that's been waiting for you to do it. So I've got a store that's waiting for me once I get mine done. Okay, beyond the 3 and the 3. So I'm working on that now. And I'm also, if you listen, gosh, this long and this far, I'm certainly inviting you to join Co-op Crowd. This doesn't mean if you're in Drip, hallelujah, I'm still there. You see, I'm growing. I'm adding to it. But Co-op Crowd is a different animal. And there are people that are putting thousands into the pig pen. They're putting thousands into this and that. They're putting more into if they've got it. I don't have it, and I don't have the inclination to put more in with those dependencies when we've got a Co-op Crowd that is immune to those. In addition to it, that wallet that I mentioned is your safe harbor, because unlike Drip and unlike others that don't even work, okay, Drip does work, thank goodness. So it is there. It's dependent on people having enough confidence and enough funds to put new funds in, because the simple fact is people have been pulling it out. They've been pulling more out than going in. It's that simple. Co-op Crowd doesn't work on that. It doesn't need that kind of infusion in order to spread around. Now the funds will come and all that's good. But if you simply tell you fund and tell 3 people who do the same thing, it's really about doing. Because I joined, I didn't do the basic things either. I started learning. I started coming up with my own reasons for doing this and everything, but that took time. I did invite my 3. I've had more than 3, but then when they started, they didn't do the work, or they didn't get the success that they needed, and they got discouraged. Those are the possibilities. You have to decide whether you are discourageable or not, which I apparently, first of all, I'm not discouraged in this sense, and I have the ability, even when I've had to come out of pocket, to stay active. However, I have been working to do and create other ways to help people to get the idea, to see the situation, first of all, because I go back here, it's the situation monetarily wise. You've got so much that is crashing in on everyone. So it's not an absence of the funds, but it's an absence of the availability of it coming to you or coming to me. And see, because the monies are being directed by other, you can say forces, other people. I mean, what? Just a week or two ago, the Congress sent $100 some odd billion to Ukraine. You know, are you so pissed about Ukraine that you want $100 billion sent there, and people and 600,000 people are homeless here in this country, and they're not getting any help? They're not getting it. Where's their love? Many of these people are veterans. They've been places. They've done their service. So many things, and this is the thanks that they get. And on the meantime, $858 billion defense budget. Once again, for what? More guns, more bombs. That's what you want. So here in Co-op Crowd, it's real simple. It is you put some funds into this thing, you get the tokens, and you invite three people who are going to do exactly what you did. Yes, you can do more than three. You can invite more than three. But to get it going, or until you have three that are active, even if it takes 10, when you have three that are active, then those three who are active have three who are active, boom, another store starts to come to you, and your income increases automatically, and it is a flow because every 28 days those renewals are occurring. And in addition to that, all those new people who are down outside of even your sphere of from the, knowledge, you may not even know these folks, as they are growing, as they are activating, you are receiving out to 10 generations, 10 tiers you are receiving. And on that 10th tier, there's like when it matures, it's like you don't get it until they appear. But your crowd stage will max out at 3 by 10 on a matrix of 3 by 10. And when it maxes out, it's 88,572 people or 88,572 wallets that are connected to you are ground zero. And the three people that you invite, when their 10th tier matures, where it's filled out, they are getting 88,005. They're getting inputs, disbursements from 88,572 people. Okay. As you can imagine, it's a large amount of funds, and it's coming every 28 days from every one of the people that are connected to your wallet. That's what happened. And the last thing that I will say, at least as far as now is concerned, which again is different from anything. It's different from drip. It's different from the CBDC, as we talked about, the central bank digital currency, which will have its own hooks and tethers, so to speak. Co-op Crowd wallet, the funds that are in that wallet are available to you in its entirety. You can take everything out. Now, it makes sense to keep a small amount in to cover your every 28-day amount. But from there, you can offload it to any wallet, uh, hardware wallet, etc. You can do all of that stuff. It is yours to do what you wish and what you need to do with it. The other thing about it is that, even if we start talking about the concerns about being hacked and losing and everything else, only Co-op Crowd, only this cooperative model is set up in such a way that it is cyclical, it is a flow, and therefore, even if you are learning this crypto space and lose, you know, before, and you're gonna be pissed because I've been there, I've done that, but the funds just keep coming. Okay. So all you got to do is fix whatever the wallet situation is, correct that situation, get another one, and direct your funds there. They are safe within CoopCrowd, but you can take them out when you want. You leave a little amount in, and the rest you use. No one offers this. No one. That's just a fact. And if it took me a year or it takes me a year, to have my three and have the three active and theirs active too, so have my 12, and yet that flow starts to occur, then hallelujah. Was it worth it? Darn right, it'd be worth it because I have not put out thousands and thousands of dollars. So, but on the other hand, a fellow activated yesterday. I helped him get started yesterday, and basically, it's a matter of sitting and helping be a guide on what you need to do to fund your wallets, where you need to go, how to go about doing it. We did that. It took probably it took about an hour's time, but literally, I could do three in a day, much less 7 days. So it's this is not a hard thing to do. If I got three and then I help those three get their three, let's say it takes another week for those three to get their three, then in a week's time, I would be set. Now I can help them do the same thing. They would be set. No more money out of pocket. So these are the things, and I see the time, and these are things I want. But this mid journey is I'm really excited about what can be done with that. And so this is just something simple. It's not I mean, people are starting to do it. They're starting to do some amazing things with it, and they are refining their ability to ask the question. You see, we are posing questions, or we're not asking questions. We are posing descriptions in words, and the AI system is literally taking that, interpreting it, and creating images for us. I could have set this image up in a 16 by 9 format so that it would take the whole screen, for example. There's just so many things that can be done, but this is for me really just a couple hours work so far. And I'm looking at videos on what to do, how to do this, and it's just another tool. The Chat GPT is something entirely different too. Well, they're not entirely different. They're alike in the sense, but it's for words. You can have this interactive conversation with the AI. It's got this huge database, and um, they've structured it in such a way to be almost conversational, almost, I will say, even lucid in your ability to communicate with it. However, it's still artificial, it's still limited. People are freaking out over what you can do, and they talk about AI taking over. And this is part of the invisibility of the human. We immediately start seeing something and start imagining it becoming our master. So this is part of our socialization, is part of the socialized thinking. And yet the master is inside. And the seed for everyone, the seed, I'll say the seed of love, is within everyone. Whether we nurture it, whether we release it, whether we uh, and that seed is conscious. Okay, this is not something that is inert. We have this sense of this inertness, this lifelessness, and we are anything but lifeless. We are life. Nothing happens unless the life that is within us is directed to it by one of us. So it is my desire to increase an appreciation and an embracing of all of those things, because that is your power. We haven't lost it. We've simply become very much practiced at using it unwisely. That's what we do. That we can change. Everyone can change. So, with that, I'm going to sign off. If you, when you watch this, thank you. And if you want some more, first of all, I did put my co-op crowd link in, and you got to really be interested in these topics if you watch this whole thing, and I totally am grateful if you do, and when you do, and as you do. I will also be doing other things to make it a bit, I don't know if it's more entertaining. These things to me are important. Um, some people want to have like a threefold brochure that I can read and make my decision on why I should change this and why I should change that. Excuse me. If you've been around the sun nearly as many times as me, or for a few generations, you got some big, big habits that are causing your own inertia, your experiential inertia. And to change, to even fathom what I'm talking about, much less appreciate it, much less embrace it, you're going to need to wade through a whole bunch of the conditions that you have created or you have continued to hold on to, which has kept you from having enough. Okay. Let's say if that's the issue. And the enough could be not having enough peace, not enough joy, not enough friendship, not enough respect. It doesn't really matter what it is. Those are all demonstrations of not enoughness. Okay. So we want to change that. And with Co-op Crowd, I can see how we can literally create an abundance of the flow of income simply by some people redirecting a small amount, you know, for what it would take for a drip. This is a drop in the bucket. Okay. And again, I use drip because it is one that is worth putting some into. I'm simply saying Co-op Crowd is a more efficient use of your funds if you're going to actually exercise the things that matter to Co-op Crowd, because those are the things that also matter to your spirit, to your soul, to your heart, to your mind. These things matter, not being supported in our general um, discourse. So, with that, I've shot my wad for now. Thank you very much for joining me. And until next time, I expect to be on before New Year's Day, but maybe even tomorrow being Friday. But in the meantime, I'm going to say peace, be well. Thank you again so much. And I love you. I love you all. Adios.